25 years after it was made, Grease is still the one that we want. Its high-octane mix of sex, no drugs and rock and roll has hooked generations. Tonight, we reunite the stars of the biggest ever hit musical to take them back to the carefree days and summer nights of the 1950s.
I think Grease is probably the most 100% piece of Americana on film that we have. I think that Grease captures the essence of America like no other film does.
It was so much fun making Grease. It was like one of the, memorable experiences of my life. We had a wonderful time, even the dance numbers and the whole thing. And you can see it, that energy that was on screen was because we were having such a wonderful time.
Grease is about firsts. First car.
What a hunk of junk.
First love.
Say yes.
Yes. First wad of grease you put in your hair. I think people like to watch that, like to remember their firsts.
Adapted from a Broadway musical and filmed in the summer of '77, Grease was an instant hit, breaking box office records worldwide.
Rock and roll is here to stay.
Grease is so popular because Grease is the word. And it was a lot of fun. It was, rock and roll.
I don't care what people say. Rock and roll is here to stay.
Grease is about that time in your life, that little window in your life when you have so much fun, you could just die from it.
This movie, I think, captures the feeling of the good times. Let the good times roll. And they did. And they rolled during the summer of '77 beautifully.
Sandy! Danny! What are you doing here? I thought you were going back to Australia.
We had a change of plans.
I can't... Well, that's cool, baby. I mean, you know how it is. Rockin' and rollin' and whatnot.
Danny?
The storyline was pure Romeo and Juliet, but in cardies and crepe shoes, and the leader of the pack was too cool for school, Danny Zuko, played by John Travolta.
Lord Almighty, feel my temperature rising.
He was so hot.
Higher, higher, it's burning through to my soul.
If I were ever asked what was the reason for Grease's success, I mean, there are many reasons, but really it was John. Because John was on fire. From his top of his head to his toes. He was like Elvis and Brando at that time. Everything had kind of come into his body, and he was a triple threat. And no one else was doing what he was doing. No one else was acting and singing and dancing and doing it the way he was doing it.
I feel my temperature rising.
His hair was a DA, and that spelt dangerous attitude. Yes, he talked the talk, but how did he walk that walk?
I created that walk from almost the African-American school that I went to. There was a bop that a lot of my buddies had, and I just added that kind of walk to the character. I exaggerated it a bit too. It was a bop,
Hey, little girl in the high school sweater.
Olivia Newton-John was already a Grammy Award-winning country and western star, but playing Virgin to Vixen Sandy was her Hollywood break. She was the new kid on the block in more ways than one.
I had never gone to a school like Rydell. I went to a very strict school where we wore uniforms and the boys and girls were separated, different staircases, and so that worked for my part because I was a fish out of water, and so it was easy for me to play that because it was new for me, the whole experience.
Well, I hope you'll be at cheerleader tryouts. We'll have so much fun and get to be lifelong friends.
You guys, how do you like Sandy, huh? Do you think we can let her in the Pink Ladies?
She looks too pure to be pink.
Ah, those Pink Ladies, the Cerise Sirens who ruled Rydell High.
Being a member of the Pink Ladies meant that you had some security. You had friends that were supporting you, a group, and that felt good.
Well, here we are again.
Yeah, but this time we're seniors.
And we're gonna rule the school.
We did have a unity that made us a force to be contended with on campus. I think that we really did feel like we could sort of conquer the world.
From tough birds to T-birds, while Danny had the brains, his second-in-command, Kenickie, had the brawn.
He was, you know, kind of a tough, macho kind of guy. What he was like was voted most likely to do time. But there was a sensitive side to him, too. He had a heart for people, like he really cared. He loved Rizzo, and he loved Danny and the guys.
These three T-birds were gangland's gormless geezers, as often playing the fool as playing it cool.
To be a member of the T-birds was the ultimate in class, though we were, in fact, extraordinarily unclassy.
You're a sick man, Putz.
Hey! We got into some slap-happy kind of things where we'd push each other around and knock each other upside the head, and it just seemed very adolescent. It seemed like adolescent guys.
We did nyit, 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 nyit.
Do a split, give a yell, shake a tip for all right there.
Do a split, give a dump, give a hit for all right there. I don't know what it was. Nyit, nyit. We all did these crazy things.
Nyit, nyit. Nyit, nyit. Do a split, give a yell, shake a tip for all right there. And then you...
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jesus.
I would do things like... Love that. The teenage Barry was Duty. I was pretty much playing myself. I was the clown at school.
Up in the morning and out to school.
A quarter of a century later, after the longest summer break in history, the boys go back to class at the real LA school where the movie was shot.
Look at that, it says, welcome back.
Welcome
Was
back.
that just for us?
No, I think that has to do with the first day of school.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
it was
How I...
right here.
How to do it? How to do it?
You always fall for it.
We're right here.
Where were you all summer?
What are you, my mother?
Kenickie.
You still pushing him around? Whoa! Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Like the shades?
Shades are bad.
So, Jeff, what'd you do all summer?
Hey, I was lugging boxes at Bargain City, which is more than I can say of any of you morons.
Nice job.
Eat me.
The gang may have graduated, but they can't wait to explore their old haunts.
That's where the girls did the lunch thing.
Oh, we were on the bleachers.
And now they've covered it up. Is this where they sat?
Yeah, well, but it was moved over a little bit,
It's
and
been
she
rearranged.
What'd you do this summer, Sandy? Oh, I spent most of it at the beach. I met a boy there.
This is just amazing. I haven't been back here since we shot.
We used to jump around this. Used to
Yeah,
jump
look at
across
that.
the table.
I gotta take it slow.
Hauled your cookies all the way to the beach for some guy?
Well, he was sort of special.
There ain't no such thing.
Let's go to class.
Go to class.
Like the girls
Like
did.
the girls.
Ready?
Just like the girls.
Let me help you up here.
Yeah,
Here we
okay.
I'll be Marty.
go. Okay, I'll be Jan.
La-la-dee-da-da-dee-da.
Summer loving had me a blast.
Summer loving happened so fast.
I met a girl crazy for me.
Met a boy cute as can be.
Filming Grease was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had, really, because it was just an amazing summer.
Filming that was more like the fun you'd have in school. It was almost like the scenario itself, you know, it was like a summer fest of activities and musical numbers.
Wella 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 Hot Summer Nights was one of the biggest hits of the 70s, riding high in the UK charts for nearly 5 months.
The musical numbers and the camaraderie between everybody was apparent on screen. I mean, what you see is not fake. That's the energy that was happening.
I have such great memories and of singing that, you know, was it love at first sight?
While the girls dreamt of summer loving, the boys were finding it just a little too intimate.
Having 15 men on this very small section of bleachers crowded into the space and all having to fit in the camera lens and so forth, it was a precision action.
You can see me in the movie looking down at one point. I was too close to John. I was looking down. I didn't want to step on his feet. Everything else about that number I love doing, but that one step I always hated doing.
Summer Nights had taken 5 days rehearsal, but back on those famous bleachers, the gang can't resist the temptation to strut their stuff.
To your left.
Okay.
Go ahead, count it off, Kelly.
6,
6, 7, 8.
It was like just going back in time because the dynamics all came back together again and those characters crept all back into our lives and we were just behaving like Kenickie and Putsy and Duty and Sonny.
The years seem to fall away and we're right back on the set and somebody's giving the other guy an ear flick or you're pinching the other guy's ass to make him do something stupid on, you know, on a tape.
Tell me more, could she get me a friend?
That's it. That's it. That's it. The good old days. Good old days, you're right. I still don't know it.
Summer dreams ripped at the seams, but the summer
Brilliant. Michael, you were brilliant. Thank you. Very nice, Jay. I felt you were brilliant. Kelly, I love you.
While Sandy and Danny's on-screen passion was heartwarming, it was the real life spark between John and Olivia that set tongues a-wagging.
There was a lot of speculation about whether Olivia and John were actually doing it because there was so much chemistry between them that it was hard to imagine that they weren't.
The dynamic between John and Olivia was electrifying.
blue moon.
Just the look, the dark, swarthy Travolta, and the fair, gorgeous, blonde Olivia Newton-John made our jaws drop.
Sandy! Oh, Sandy! John and Olivia were very, very attracted to each other, and in an innocent way. And they both had relationships on the outside of the film set, but they definitely had sparkles for each other.
Yeah, I think John and I had an amazing chemistry, and we were very close, and we never dated really, but there was a great chemistry between us, and thank goodness, because it really worked for the role.
I chose Olivia for the movie, so I think we were quite fond of each other, and I think that energy was real, you know, and was very honest. I could not imagine anyone in that part more than Olivia. She was perfect casting.
She was the one that he wanted, ooh, 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 but he nearly didn't get her. Olivia was set to turn down the hottest role in Hollywood, fearing she wouldn't pass as a teenage heartthrob.
I mean, I was 28, 29 when I played the role, so to even mean playing like a 16, 17-year-old or 18-year-old who I was supposed to be, I was worried about that in the beginning, you know. I asked them if I could do a screen test to make sure that I thought I could pull it off, because I was a bit concerned. So John agreed, and we did a screen test, and then I watched it back, and I could see that we had chemistry, and that I looked okay, that I could pass for it, because we were all older, so it kind of worked out in the end.
They may have been the oldest teenagers in town, but they were living life in the fast lane.
Most of us were a little bit older, you know, than the teenagers we were playing. So this gave us the license to be as horny and as crazy and as, you know, flirtatious as we wanted to be as high school seniors.
What's your name?
Marty.
Marty what?
Maraschino. You know, like in Cherry?
I think that period of adolescence is very sexy because there are two things operating. One is I'm a good girl and I don't, and the other is I'm so bad and I might.
One of the things that's fun about this movie is that we could act like we were wild and bad girls.
Well, go ahead, try it. It won't kill you. Give her a hip hooray. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you shouldn't inhale unless you're used to it.
It was a cocktail of nicotine, 90s and nail varnish, but it isn't easy playing a teenage tearaway when your hair lets you down.
I had started going gray when I was really in high school. So by the time I did the movie, my hair was well on its way to the white hair that you see today. I had a part down the middle and those ponytails. My hair grew very fast, and you'd see this white hair growing down the center. And rather than have me look like a skunk, they had dark colored crayons, and they would crayon in my part every day to make sure that it would match.
Brush up, knocks out, DK germs fast. Faster, sure, all right.
Filming Frenchie's sleepover was the best time I had on the film. I think it was the scene where all of us really actually had as good a time doing it as it looks like we had.
Look at me, I'm Sandra Dee, lousy with virginity.
That scene was at a high, wild energy that we played that. And before the scene, we were fooling around with each other and pillow fighting.
We were telling dirty jokes. We were really having a good time. And we were doing each other's nails. I think Grease touches that perpetual teenager. I think the material just triggers that kind of juicy, sexy, fun spirit.
Elvis, let me be!
And we giggled all through the whole thing, and we tickled each other and made ourselves really find that, you know, that special teenage kind of sleepover, you know, let's make fun of the good girl.
Bongo, I'm Sandra Dee.
And Olivia really stuck bravely to her naivete while we filmed the scene. She never allowed herself to be one of us. You know, she didn't partake in our antics. She really stayed in her character.
You're making fun of me, Riz?
Some people are so touchy.
The world's most famous high school students took their roles to heart and left maturity at the studio doors. For this gang, any time was playtime.
It was kind of like the cameras never stopped rolling. It became very easy for us to refer to each other as, hey, Putsy, or hey, Sonny, Duty. It was a nice shorthand for everybody, and it seemed to make sense because the whole shoot was a 13-week party.
We would fool around, clown around, as we did on screen, pulling pranks off screen as well. It definitely spilled over.
We stayed very much in character, and the relationships were very much the same ones that you would see on screen.
Grease may have been set in the 50s, but the sexual revolution of the 70s was in full swing, and the cast were making sweet music together.
I, at the time of the filming, was involved with a young lady, and so I remained a pretty good boy. Everybody else seemed to be having a grand old time in their honey wagons, rocking back and forth.
I couldn't wait to get to work every day, and I used to hang out a couple hours afterwards. Extracurricular activity.
I remember one day, do you remember this? All the girls would come in dancing. All the girls would come in, and then they said, take, and we started doing it, and they were missing 2 girls.
Yeah.
And I said to, I said to Alan, he says, well, he's like going crazy. And I said, no, they were Jeff.
Yeah, they were Jeff. And his trailer was rocking.
They were Jeff. They went to, and they're doing the dance out here, and they stopped it, and then they go to Jeff's trailer, knock at the door, and Jeff's sitting there with 2 of the girls. You know, they're just discussing things.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain.
Jeff Conaway certainly took his bad boy image to heart. He rocked and rolled his way through cast and crew.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
I think every girl, down to the last extra, maybe seamstress, had a crush on Kenickie, on Jeff. He was hot stuff.
Balls of fire.
Jeff has always had this marvelous, macho, sexual thing dripping off of him. And he was very appealing to the ladies. I mean, he was footloose and fancy-free, good-looking guy, and he made out like a bandit.
What's up, Kenick?
Guess.
You got a lot to offer a girl.
Yeah, you know it.
I was pretty bad. I was living the role, shall we say, sowing some wild seeds, and so I was quite busy.
And he gave new meaning to necking.
I got so many hickeys, people think I'm a leper.
Everybody knows this line. A hickey from Kenickie's like a Hallmark card when you care enough to send the very best.
Cheer up. Hickey from Kenickie's like a Hallmark card. You care enough to send the very best.
I insisted that if she was going to have hickeys, that they were going to be for real. So I gave her the hickey. I just like a vampire descended upon her and sucked on her neck till she got the real thing, you know.
You pig.
I love it when you talk dirty.
There's nothing like reality and truth in art, you know. Plus, it was kind of fun.
For the sex scenes, Jeff always came prepared, as it were, and he had a big surprise for Stockard Channing back in his passion wagon.
I brought all these, like, naughty magazines, and I tore out the pictures of the girls, and I pasted them all over the inside of the car. And Riz gets in, Stockard gets in, and she says, "Oh, great, it's a porno shop in here."
But remember how surprised we were when Sensible Sandy chucked out the chintz and became Randy Sandy, the Virgin Vamp? We weren't the only ones.
I walked out on set and I had my hair and makeup changed and no one recognized me. And all the cameramen and everyone suddenly, they all turned around and they stared at me and they were all flirting with me and wolf whistling. And I thought, they didn't know who I was, seriously.
All the people who work on the movie, there was, who's that? You know, and even, we didn't even know who she was.
Sandy.
Tell me about it, Stern.
It was one of those musical numbers that I couldn't wait to perform. So I was chomping at the bit to get going on it.
When John saw her, I mean, we all got chills. They're multiplying.
I got chills, they're multiplying.
He was so turned on to her, and she was having so much fun playing this hot mama role, foxy lady.
It's electrifying.
Ooh, 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 honey. Yeah, it was fun.
You better shape up, 'cause I need a man.
Olivia was truly stitched up when she wore the tightest trousers in film history.
They literally had to sew me into those pants in the morning. So I couldn't drink a lot, of course, because I didn't want to have to pee in the middle of the day.
To my heart, I must be true.
I remember loving walking behind Olivia, looking at her bottom, you know, and like almost like a kid, you know, just captivated by this girl that he didn't know existed. He sees her body for the first time and he's, you know, just dazzled by it, you know, this kind of thing. So I liked that.
But which was the real her, posh or spicy?
I think there's a little bit of me in both characters. Then to play the saucy side was a lot of fun and a place I hadn't really gone, particularly on screen. So I really enjoyed that. Being able to play those two different roles was really a challenge, but really a lot of fun for me. Feel your way.
Wow! I better shape up, 'cause you need me.
I wasn't in that number, so I spent a lot of time in the trailer, if you know what I mean.
That my fate is justified. Are you sure?
I was just thankful that I wasn't wearing pants as tight.
And coming up next, another one for the boys. Grease Lightning had them grooving in the garage, but backstage, sparks were flying.
Step aside!
Trying to get this thing into,
the park. Here we go. Yeah, you better move.
The King of Swing did his thing when he hit the bop at the high school hop, but it wasn't quite poetry in motion for the rest of the cast. They were too hot to trot in this, the toughest scene to shoot.
We were in a school gymnasium in the hottest part of the summer. Oh, I don't know, 102 degrees, right next to a pork plant. And there was no air conditioning. It's a very old high school, and because it had to look the 50s, you know, and they had the windows open. So besides being hot, and the air quality in downtown Los Angeles abysmal, and this pork wafting in, oh my God.
We got into that room and instantly began sweating. And, you know, after half an hour of dancing around and sometimes even just standing, you'd be drenched.
They certainly weren't all born to hand jive, baby. Professional dancers were hired to help them along.
All the extras in the movie are all phenomenal dancers. Now, us actors, you know, we get pooped, we get tired, but when we'd be with these guys behind us, and they're moving and grooving and dancing and at like this hyper speed, it just would make us pick up that kind of speed because, you know, that hand jive, you know, it's not like this. You know, it's boop, 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 boop. You know, I mean, it's really, really high speed.
It was all very free and easy on set. The cast were encouraged to ad-lib and the boys didn't miss a chance to flash their talent.
How low can you go? How low can you go?
We came up with this idea to moon at the dance, the three of us, and take focus. So we come up with this bit, they put it in the movie, and we moon.
But the director got his own back.
You know, we didn't do one take. We didn't do 2 take, 3, 4, 5. We did like 10, 12 takes.
Ooh, wonder who that is on the right.
You know, very, very attractive.
Let's go to the hop.
Sonny's mooning days are well and truly over.
Pretty good. Good to see you. Very nice. Okay.
He may have left Rydell High, but Michael Tucci's still in the classroom.
Go. I'll be ready with these 2. Bop, 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 bop.
These days he teaches performing arts at a boys' Catholic school.
Punctuated by blows. Come on.
Blows on the front desk.
Someone will say in class, weren't you Sonny in Grease? And you go, yes, I did that film. And all of a sudden, the whole energy in the class changes. Wow, he was in Grease. Did you see that? Yeah, remember him? And they start trusting. And they identify with me as a teenager rather than as a 50-year-old man plus teaching them.
I did this show more than anybody else did.
Back on the lot, the years disappear as the young guns remember their favorite fantasy song.
Well, this car could be systematic. It's go.
No, it isn't.
That's if they can remember their moves.
Dramatic.
What is wrong with you people?
I can't take the stress at 50.
Well, I could be Grease Lightning. 5, 6, 7, and we'll get some overhead lifters and 4-barrel quads, oh yeah.
Keep talking, whoa, keep talking.
But while the cameras were rolling, the tension was building as John Travolta stepped into the driving seat and stole Jeff's thunder.
That was one of the upsetting things about doing the movie, is that I didn't get to sing the song. It's Kenicky's car. Kenickie really should sing the song about his car, and John wanted to sing it, and everybody worked on him and said, but it's Kenicky's car, you know, it doesn't make any sense, you know, and he wanted to sing it, and God bless him, he got to, and he did a good job. I always said, if Kenickie had to go to the bathroom in that movie, Danny would have done it for him.
The T-Birds were no professionals on the dance front, but this routine saw them spread their wings and fly.
Go Grease Lightning is my favorite number that we did. It had a bit more freedom. We got to be a bit more wild.
I loved Grease Lightning. And then I got a chance to dance. I got me head lifters and 4-barrel quads. And it's great dancing with your arms because no one can see your feet.
It transforms into this fantasy sequence, which was amazing. They had done a white cyclorama around the entire room and painted everything white, and it was just like walking into this big marshmallow.
Go, Grease Lightning, you're coasting to the hip lap child. Grease Lightning, go. You are supreme. The chicks are cream. Grease Lightning.
And we had trampolines hidden in, strategic places so guys could bounce, 15 feet in the air and do all those kind of tricks, on and off the car and laying on the ground and spinning and whirling and, kind of testosterone-laden number.
You are supreme, the chicks are cream, for Grease Lightning, lightning, lightning. Time heals everything.
That's the way we did it. That's why we got paid the big bucks.
That's right. That's why we were still collecting unemployment insurance.
So you guys think you got a winner there, huh? That's right. Yeah, well, it takes more than a coat of paint to make it at Thunder Road.
Oh, yeah?
Racing against their rivals, the Scorpions, was a dirty business, but nothing compared to the risks of filming down on the murky LA riverbed.
The water there is extraordinarily contaminated, and we were told to be very careful.
I was whining and complaining. I said, I'm not going in that water. I'm not going. I said, you're going to get sick. Stay out of that water. You're going to get sick. And nobody listened to me.
Our director, Randall Kleiser, had shorts on that day and had a little cut on his calf, as I recall. He ran through that water, and the following day, the entire day's shoot was canceled because Randall had come down with an infection and a very high temperature, high fever. A lot of money was wasted that day because we couldn't shoot. From that point on, we were told that we had to wear cellophane on our feet so the water wouldn't permeate our shoes and our socks to contaminate us in any way.
When Kenickie goes in that water, he kind of like, he's tiptoeing through that. He's trying to keep his feet out of the water. That was Jeff Conaway. That wasn't Kenickie. That was Jeff Conaway saying, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
Drive us to Thunder Road, Jeffrey.
We're going to Thunder Road.
All right.
Well, this baby is going to, like, really knock him dead. That's right.
The boys are back in town. It's full throttle to Thunder Road, but the LA River has somehow lost its sparkle.
What's going on down
That's
here?
why you got to take it easy.
Look, there are people living down here. What the hell is...
Look at this.
What is...
Look at this.
What is the mess? Wow. Times sure have changed.
It's a mess.
Look at all the water. No racing tonight.
Not tonight.
Bank to bank.
My
Not like when we
goodness.
shot that.
Certainly not the way we remember it, huh?
Going down to the LA riverbed wasn't so happy, you know, being that there was all those homeless people around, and that was very disturbing.
Well, there's our career, floating down the river.
Down the LA River.
This is what it's come to, guys.
After Grease, Jeff Conaway's life hit stormy waters. Despite winning a leading role in American sitcom Taxi, fame came at a price, and Jeff paid for it in full on the LA drug scene.
It was snowing in Hollywood, you know, with cocaine and things like that. And to tell you the truth, I got an addictive personality. Just as a lot of people experimented with drugs, I experimented and then some. You know, I had this great house on top of a hill and, you know, great car, and I should have been really ecstatic and happy and making everything work for me, but instead I was making everything not work for me. When the fame and the fortune all came, it didn't fill the hole in my soul.
So how do you follow up a smash hit like Grease? As the joker in the pack, Barry Pearl was used to getting the laughs. What proved harder was getting the next big break.
I would love to say that being a part of this film has done absolute wonders for my career. I know for myself, we worry that maybe we haven't left the kind of mark that we want to leave, so we're constantly striving to make that mark.
Buddy's had a bit of fun along the way, captivating a whole new generation of kids as Professor Tinkerpot in Barney the Dinosaur.
Tinkerpot's Toy Factory.
As a matter of fact, it was because of the Barney job that I had that I bought my house. In fact, we call our home the house that Barney built.
These days he lives happily with his partner, but he still holds a candle for his on-screen flame.
Look at you. Look at you, my
I want Babalooba.
Oh, I bamboo.
Like a beautiful blonde pineapple.
And you still look like a beautiful blonde pineapple.
Look at our waitress.
Chocolate and vanilla right here for you guys.
You don't kid around,
I
baby.
mean business. Cherries on top. Enjoy it.
With all due respect to our significant others, I had the biggest crush on you when we were working. And
You never told me that.
Yeah, well, but you see, but duty sort of told you that.
Didi Khan only had eyes for one man, her hero, chart-topping American crooner Frankie Avalon, and when he came on set, she was left speechless.
Beauty school dropout.
I hadn't met Frankie Avalon. He didn't come to rehearsals. I want to start to drool just talking about it. That was one of the greatest days of my life, I have to say.
Baby, get moving. Why keep your feeble hopes alive?
When I saw Frankie Avalon all dressed in white coming down those stairs, and he's singing to me, and I had worked on this scene in my imagination, you know, how I would react, how I looked so goofy with that pink hair that I thought, don't do anything, Didi, just sit there and look at him.
Beauty school dropout.
And then he was so gorgeous and sing so beautifully that I didn't have to act. It was just pure pleasure.
Now your bangs are curled, your lashes twirl, but still the world is cruel. Wipe off that angel face and go back to high school.
I think I had about 4 pieces of gum when we blew that big bubble. It was funny. I did that. We had never rehearsed that. And Frankie decided just to pop it.
Baby, don't blow it. Don't put my good advice to shame. Baby, you know it.
The climax of the song saw the T-Birds flying in from the wings, but playing an angel was a devil of a job.
We were suspended in this rig that was made of jean material and sheepskin. The sheepskin was to protect our private parts and such. It was also tied around our thighs to hold the weight, but a lot of it was gathered in our crotch areas. So I started talking like this by the end of the day.
Didi Conn is still acting, but now the main man in her life is her little boy Danny, and Grease didn't just help Didi, it's helping Danny too.
I have a son who's autistic, and he goes to a special school, and it's private, so it costs a lot of money. And we wanted to set up a scholarship fund. So I wrote a book called Frenchie's Grease Scrapbook.
She's back in the pink and now has even bigger plans. So get ready for Grease, the TV show.
We have in development now a movie for television, which is a continuation of the Grease story in 1979.
And proving they really do go together like a Ramalanga Ding Dong, the stars are back on stage to reunite and recreate their magic chemistry.
It's a great song, the last song.
We go together, like a Ramalama, ka-ding-a-ka-ding-a-dong.
We go together like Ramalama, ka-ding-a-ding-a-dong.
After 12 weeks of high school shenanigans, it was home time. John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John will be catapulted into the Hollywood A-list. But for others, the party was nearly over.
Whoa, yeah!
I knew that the shoot was coming to an end. And it was rather emotional. I mean, you still stayed in character, but this chapter of this experience was coming to a close. And when you see us singing We Go Together, it was truly heartfelt.
Even though it has turned out to be something that everybody responds to, we knew at the time that this was sort of our time and our moment in time.
It was like coming to the end of your senior year in high school and knowing that, okay, well, have a good summer. Hope I see you.
I want Babaluma. I want bamboo. I want Babaluma. I want bamboo.
Potsy and Jan may be history, but Kelly and Jamie have stayed mates. Today, they've both brought their children along for the ride.
Thunder Road, here we come, kids.
Coming up.
When do those spurs come out of the side?
Oh, I know. That's what we need, the spikes.
Let me have another big bite.
Family man Kelly Ward is still married to the girl he met while filming, and together they have 3 sons. It's been 15 years since he last rode the Hollywood roller coaster. He's given up acting for good.
I got frustrated with going to auditions and really saying, you know, here, if you want me, take me. I felt a little bit like Oliver going, please, sir, I want some more. I didn't like the idea of pleading for work.
Very much the kid at heart, he now lives out his fantasies in a cartoon world, writing for some of the biggest guys in the business. Jamie Donnelly has also chosen a career on the other side of the camera.
Here we go, rehearsal's up.
She spends her life helping the next generation of wannabes make it on American TV.
I'm an acting coach now, and now I have the wonderful privilege of helping mostly young people achieve their dreams and hoping that I can help them to have the kind of wonderful experience that I've had in my life.
And that's an experience that can never be forgotten. The movie only cost $6 million to make, but thanks to Grease Mania has earned more than $400 million.
All right, hold on.
Tinseltown, its friends reunited as these classroom buddies relive the magical musical that made their names.
We did develop great friendships, and Dee Dee and I still stay in touch, and John and I stay in touch. And it's like, you know, it's like when you have good friends, there's no such thing as time. You just kind of pick up where you left off. John? If you're out there, I need you for this song.
Now older, they're closer to having bus passes than student passes. But have the world's most famous high school sweethearts still got that electricity?
It's electrifying! You better shape up, 'cause I need a man. My heart is sounding. You better shape up, you better understand. To my heart I must be true.
It's official, Grease is still the word. But what's it like coming face to face with your past?
Honestly, so comfortable.
Yeah.
That surprised me. How easy it was to see everybody, and how my heart kind of felt good.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Reunion.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Everyone that I want, you are the one I want. The one that I want, you are the one I want. The one that I want, you are the one I want. The one I need, oh yes indeed. You're the one that I want, you are the one I want. The one that I want, you are the one I want. You're the one that I want, you are the one I want. The one I need, oh yes indeed. You're the one that I want.
He may be nearly 50, but he still knows how to sweep a girl off her feet. Thanks to Grease and Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta became the ultimate 70s sex symbol. His appeal stayed alive until the mid-80s, when he was crowded off the dance floor. But in the 90s, he came back with a vengeance. Playing hardman Vincent Vega in Tarantino's Pulp Fiction earned him an Oscar nomination and proved he'd lost none of his moves.
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
What do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking.
Come fly with me, let's...
And he's spread his wings a little further still. Married to actor Kelly Preston, he's got millions in the bank and a personal palace in the sky. This sumptuous Boeing 707.
Far Bombay. Come fly.
Captain Travolta's putting his jet-set lifestyle to good use. He's touring the world, encouraging people to take to the air post-September the 11th.
When I was a kid in the 1960s, flying was glamorous and fun and wonderful, and perhaps we could get back to that.
With a new movie out next year, John Travolta is still the star everyone wants. Hanging out with Cliff Richard and movies like Xanadu meant that Olivia Newton-John never escaped her good girl image. But it wasn't all paradise. The 90s brought a battle with breast cancer and a public divorce. Olivia's now returned to her first love, singing. She's touring the world and still stays in touch with her past.
Well, Frenchie and Sandy were very close friends, and that Frenchie was there for Sandy. And over the years, I have had the same feeling for Olivia. She had a real battle with cancer, and thank God, you know, she's great. She's healthy and wonderful, and very, very happy to say that she's a survivor.
There are worse things I could do than go with a boy or two.
Stockard Channing went from Queen of the Pink Ladies to the First Lady in the multi-award-winning American TV series The West Wing.
You know, one of the things that happens when I stay away too long is that you forget that you don't have the power to fix everything.
And the Emmy goes to Stockard Channing, The Matthew Shepard Story.
With the chewing gum long since left on the bedpost, she's recently picked up not one, but 2 Emmys for her acting skills.
Stockard Channing, The West Wing.
In this school of stars, she's graduated to become one of Hollywood's most respected actors. At 19, Dinah Manoff was one of the only true teenagers on the set, and by her own admission, it wasn't until she hit her 40s that she really started growing up.
I wasn't ready to be a mother until I had really gotten everything else out of my system. And I mean drugs, men, and career. I kind of like just had to take all of that out to its outer limit before I could say, okay, that doesn't really work for me. I think I've got to get simpler. So I had a very long adolescence.
Now she's a successful actor and director, but it's her children that take center stage in her life.
I have somehow morphed into a suburban housewife. I mean, I am so uncool. I am so uncool, and I am so happy.
Jeff Conaway has also traded cool for contentment. He's still acting, but he's ditched the drugs for a natural high and the love of a good woman.
You know, I met my wife, and she's an angel from above. You know, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. She's just incredible.
And what would Kenickie have made of Jeff's route to salvation? The bad boy who was once an altar boy has now returned to God.
It gave me something to hold on to and to believe in, and it filled me up. It filled that hole, you know. It made things make sense to me. Christ is my Savior, and I'm proud to say that.
We'll leave you with one final reunion from those T-Birds and Pink Ladies. Those summer days of '77 may be long gone, but those summer nights live on forever.
Grease is a party that's gone on for over 20 years now, and it's great to be part of the life of that party.
No matter where we live or how far apart we are, I think we all feel that in our hearts, that we'll always be together.
Summer dreams drift down the seas.
It's really a fantastic thing, and I feel very privileged to be a part of something that's become kind of a classic.
But here we go.
I'm so proud of the success of Grease. I'm so, well, I mean, obviously it's the biggest musical in history, but more than that, more importantly than that, it continues to entertain every generation that it inhabits their home. You know, I find that amazing.